I'd like to welcome you all to the first ReadWriteMix of summer 2013. Thank you. Please welcome Keith Rabois.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
The topic of tonight's conversation, which is value creation in Silicon Valley. You have kind of gone into, you've been creating value at companies for a lot of your career, but now you've really gone pro. You made a really interesting point, which was that tech companies over the past decade have created, out of thin air, just like that, boom,
Exactly.
$1 trillion lighting up the stock market. But that wealth creation is so incredibly concentrated in, what, 10 or 15 companies?
Yeah, Mike Maples and Mark Andreessen, I think, have a stat that's about 15 companies, maybe 10 and maybe 20 per year that actually drive that wealth creation. So it's a heavily concentrated.
You actually say what's on your mind more often than not.
Good caveat.
That seems uncommon in Silicon Valley. First of all, why are you such a free speaker? And why do you think Silicon Valley has this culture of of fake politeness, for lack of a better term?
Well, I don't know if it has. So I learned a lot of this at PayPal. People were very direct, very transparent, and it led to clear thinking, clarity of thinking, and probably the company wouldn't have succeeded without a certain culture around. We're going to be very precise and disciplined about what we're for, what we're against, and why, and we're going to debate things. Clear thinking is better than hypocritical politeness. I think Vinod talked about that in his TechCrunch blog when we announced I was joining Coastal Ventures, about our style as investors are to be honest and direct and not just go along to be polite, because that doesn't do anybody any good. You cannot be successful as a company and as an investor by being a consensus-oriented thinker. You have to be both contrarian and right. So both, not just contrarian and right. If you're contrarian and wrong, obviously you lose money, your company fails, et cetera. If you're consensus and right, you actually don't make any money. And you can't build a startup in a space that other people are paying attention to if you're doing what everybody else does. So I think there's a premium in sort of our jobs as entrepreneurs, as investors, to try to take a different perspective. And that yields, hopefully, a coherent way of thinking about the world that's slightly different.
So let's talk about Square. I think everyone knows that your leaving was maybe not how anyone wanted that to go down. You left, and suddenly they roll out all these new products. So did you just set them up for massive success, or were you holding them back?
I have no comment on that. Strategically, Square blends hardware and software together, and that's a very rare skill. That's what Apple literally pioneered in the early 2000s. And the funny thing was, there's an old Steve Jobs quote that almost nobody read, which is in 2001, Steve said, "We're the only company in the world that can do world-class hardware and world-class software, and we're just going to ship products that require the intersection of the two." And that's what he did for a decade, and nobody can compete. So think of Square as blending world-class hardware, world-class software, and world-class, let's say, data science, and nobody can compete with that.
What advice do you have, say, to be able to get a union together to lobby, to any type of mechanisms of law access?
I wouldn't do that. I don't think that's likely to work. I actually think that what you have to do is you've got to build a product that real users love, not just use, but love. And you've got to figure out a way to get it in enough of their hands so that they truly can't live without it. Because then when the platform wants to change things, you have real people that are animated. And if those people are animated, they can go to the media, they can go to their congressman. That's what you have to protect yourself. Anything you do tactically isn't going to help you. It's got to be scaled and true love.
Well, I think that's a good note to probably end on. If you build really valuable products, you're in a good position with competitors, regulators, anyone you might go up against.
Yep, focus on that.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, Keith.